Hello guys, in this video we're going to talk about the average rate of change, which is a very simple procedure of steps in order to follow. And this procedure of steps involves two things: knowing that the formula for the average rate of change would be the average rate of change is equal to f of b minus f of a divided by b minus a. And then what are our b and a? Our b and our a would be whatever our time interval is. So that would be so this is the formula we apply, and this would be the time interval that we look at for our variables a and e. So step one in this is to identify A and B. A and B. So right here, this step's not really that difficult. A is equal to 1, B is equal to 3, and I'm getting this from right here, from our time variable. That's where I'm getting it from. So the next step would be to identify f of b and f of a. So right here, what we need to do is we need to plug in our a and b terms into our f of x to get our f of b and f of a. So f of b would be equal to f of 3, which is equal to, so everywhere we see x, we plug in a 3. So x squared plus 6 times 3 plus 10. And then our f of a would be equal to f of 1. And then we do the same thing everywhere we see x, we plug in 1. So our f of b would be equal to 9 plus 18 plus 10 will give us 37. And our f of a, 1 plus 6 plus 10 will give us 17. So now we have a, we have b, we have f of a, and we have f of b. So the next step would be to plug it into the average rate of change formula. So we plug in. So our average rate of change is equal to f of b. Our f of b is 37. So 37. Our f of a, it comes out to be 17. So minus 17 divided by our a, b minus a. Our b is 3, as right here stated, and our a is equal to 1. So we simplify this, we get 20 over 2, which is equal to 10. And that's how we get average rate of change. So the idea is, step 1, we identify a and b. Step 2, we plug in f of b and a into the function right here. We plug in b and we plug in a. And we got 37 and 17 in this case by plugging in 3 and 1 respectively. And step 3, once we have our f of b, our f of a, our a, and our b, we plug it into our average rate of change formula, and we ended up getting 10. And that's how you find average rate of change. Hello guys, in this video we're going to talk about average rate of change given a word problem. So this one's a little bit different because we're not given a function, we're instead given a word problem. After 30 baseball games, A-Rod had 25 hits. If after 100 games, he had 80 hits, what was his average rate of change? So the concept is still the same. We have a generalized formula for average rate of change, which we'll write down right here. average rate of change is equal to f of b minus f of a divided by b minus a over an interval of time, which is equal to from time A to time B. So what we have to do here is we have to identify our variables. So in this problem, we're given 4 numbers. We're given 100, we're given 80 hits, we're given 25 hits, and we're given 30 games. So what do you think our time variable would be? So notice that in this problem, the amount of baseball games measures time. So we're going to identify A and B, which is our first step to identify A and B. So our A would be our first time, which in this case it's 30 games. Our B will be our second time, which in this case it's 100 games, right? So now we need to identify f of A and f of B. So identifying our f of A will simply just be how many hits he had after 30 baseball games. So clearly in this word problem, we can see that after 30 baseball games, he had 25 hits. So that will be our f of A, because it's the amount he was able to produce after the first set of time, after 30 baseball games, which means our f of B will tell us that he was able to have an average of 80 hits, or he was able to have 80 hits after 100 games. So that's going to be our f of B. So now that we've identified A, B, as well as f of A and f of B, our next step is simply just to literally just plug it all in. So it's not anything more to it. The next step would be to apply the average rate of change formula, which is f of B, which f of B is 80. So 80 minus f of A is 25 over B minus A. So what's our B? 100 minus our A, which is 30. So we simplify this. 100 minus 30 is 70. 80 minus 25 is 55. So we can simplify this a little bit further. Divide both terms by 5. We can get 11 over 70 divided by 5, which comes out to be 14. So he had an average of rate of change of 11 over 14 hits per game. Hits per game. So he had 11 hits for every 14 games. And that's how you calculate average rate of change. So step 1, identify A and B. Step 1 is really to just know these formulas right here. Step 2 would be to identify A and B, and to identify f of A and f of B. Step 3 is literally just to plug it into this equation right here. But also understand how to read the problem. Read what measures time. Every time you see a word problem, just think to yourself, what variables are measuring time and what's measuring what's being produced in that time. All right, that's all. Thank you guys. Hope it was helpful.